Good morning, everybody. My name is Nate Manahan, and I am live here in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I am going to be bringing you the high five in just a few moments. Today, we're going to be talking with two sales experts, Brian and Danny, who are going to tell us how to get over some obstacles, some challenges that we may be seeing in 2021, and we're just going to pick their brain for a little bit right here on the high five.
The time has come, the questions are set, opinions hide, discussions are led, a show about nothing and everything, it's all the same. We've got sports, entertainment, sales, and marketing. It's time for the high five. We've got it all covered. It's time for the high five. We've got it all covered. Yeah. The high five.
That's right, everybody. That's right. It is time for the high five and time for me to bring up our esteemed panel. Oh, look at them, already all masked up, ready to go. They are social distance so far that I've got Danny Shard all the way on the other side. Well, not all the way on the other side, but in the Rocky Mountains of Glenwood Springs, where the elk roam free, the bobcats are a little bit scary, and Danny is managing all the snow. How are you, Danny Shard?
Good morning, Nate. Good morning, Brian. Happy Friday.
Morning, Dan.
Hey, ProTech Nation. Good to be on here. And the elk were roaming in my backyard this morning whenever I left. So it's a beautiful morning in Colorado. Cold, but beautiful.
See, there's rumors that I'm going to get a little snow here in Indianapolis, but we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, we just like to be cold and gray. If on the right hand or center spot of the screen, because obviously he's got to be in the center spot, wearing his, I believe those are those whales, dolphins?
They're sharks, Nate.
Sharks. Sorry, what do I know? I don't know any of my with the Cubs over his left shoulder in the rebuilding year, but he's not rebuilding because he is the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. Brian Linke. How are you, Brian?
I'm great, Nate. I'm great. You know what the problem with the mask is though? Like, okay, the best thing that I got is like right here, like the face, or like when I wear the mask, I just feel like I'm doing everyone around me an injustice. You know what I'm saying?
No, I totally
by not being able to see me.
Yeah, well, I understand that. That is an issue that we all have. I just realized that I didn't click the go live button on one of our 8 places that you're currently watching us, so I just took care of that. Thank you for the 17 people who just joined us a little bit late because I forgot to hit the one go live button on the YouTube, but you should see us now. All right.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. All right, that's what happens when you have. We don't really have a producer. We have a host and a producer, and that's way too many hats to wear sometimes. But I make it work most days. All right, this morning I have come up
You
with.
do a terrific job, Nate.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. That it can be said. All the mistakes. Someday we'll like put all the mistakes into one and all the good episodes into another. It's probably 2 full series that we could roll
We
through.
need some high five outtakes, I think. That'd be pretty cool.
I was thinking, we're going to celebrate when
Doesn't
we get
help.
to April. We're going to celebrate our 1-year anniversary when we've been doing this for over. I think it's the first Monday of the last week of March was when we started. I don't remember the date. I'll look it up. And when we celebrate our 1-year anniversary, and at that point, well, I think we'll be somewhere in about 100 episodes. I don't know exactly because we did 5 a week for like 8 weeks, and then we've gone back.
It was the beginning of the pandemic.
Yep, it was. So, all right. So, are you guys ready? I'm going to bring up my little list. I have it on my phone here, as any good host would. He would bring it up on his phone beforehand. Top sales challenges. I'm reading this from a HubSpot blog because that's where I get all of my good content because they spend more money on content than anything else. Top sales challenges for 2021. Number 1, and I'm going to start with you, Brian. Do you agree with this? And then we'll start talking about how to tackle it. It's more difficult than ever to build the case for change. And I don't know that I totally agree with that, but Brian, what do you think?
It's more difficult than ever to build the case for change. That's a tough one, pal.
Well, and I think, I mean, and I'll I read the article. I didn't even send it to you guys but the idea is that you have to, in order for you to sell your product, you're usually replacing something, unless you're novel, and most of us aren't coming in there, and you have to convince them that it's worth the time, the energy, the effort to make that change. And so now I would say in merchant services world and point of sale, the pandemic actually has provided us some new ways to try to promote that change. But as a whole, I think businesses are slower to change than they've ever been, maybe is what they're trying to say. What do you think?
You might be right with that, but again, I think that we're just in a time right now, and I'm not sure it has to do with the pandemic or not, because things change. I mean, nothing stays the same. A lot of times you wish it would, but it doesn't, and you just kind of have to be, especially in this industry. I mean, my goodness. I mean, if you look back at when I first started in this business, and there was the tiered pricing and Interchange Plus before cash discounting. I mean, you have to. I think you just have to kind of keep up, and trust me, this is a 58-year-old going on 59 talking that I wish it was 1985 again, but it's not. And I just think you kind of have to surround yourself with people that will help you, because that's what I've done, and just roll with it and stay up with it, and not be afraid to ask for help and keep working, because what's the alternative?
That is absolutely.
Right?
Danny, what do you think? I mean, do you deal with our partners the most, and Brian, you obviously do too, who are intersecting with our businesses and connecting with them. Are people less likely to change? And it doesn't mean obstacles are meant to be overcome, but are they less likely to change? Are they more adverse to change right now?
I don't think they're adverse to change. I think at least where my mind goes whenever I think of that, is that the change can be overwhelming, because there's so many things that you can change, right? There's so many things that you can improve on.
Overwhelming is a good word, Dan. Yes.
Right? I mean, it's they can be on overload and just get inundated with the opportunity to change and the way that they can enhance their business in so many different areas. And if you're a successful business owner up to this point, but you see the writing on the wall, like you've got to make some tweaks, you've got to move with the times. Obviously, things are changing in and around your market, so it's evolve or die, more or less, right? But it's overwhelming, right? And I think that's probably where it can be tough to convince a lot of merchants that this change is good. But I think it's our job as sales professionals, with all of the things that we want to offer these merchants, to simplify it, right? A lot of you are listening to some of the content that Nate and I are putting out about making it easy. And simplifying the sales process and making it easy for merchants to understand what that is. It's also important that all these tools and bag of tricks that we have, let's make sure we don't overwhelm these merchants, because before you know it, a lot of your customers are going to be a deer in the headlights, and they're not going to know exactly what change they want to make. They probably want to make all of them at some point, but it's up to us to help guide them through and almost make it an outline for them so it's easy and seamless for them, but it's a change that helps them evolve their business and they grow with it.
Well, and the next thing we want, they say in this article that I was reading about is the biggest obstacle. It is that it is the hardest ever to be able to get appointments with people. And I think that for sure is true. People are busier, more stressed, less likely to agree to a new meeting than ever, at least in my opinion. Brian, are you finding that with people you're working with? It's harder to get that appointment, to get that time set away. And what are some strategies to try to overcome that obstacle?
Well, again, I do agree with that, and it obviously the pandemic has delayed appointment making, right? Because people just aren't as willing to allow you into their place of business to talk about credit card processing and merchant services, point of sale systems, and the like. So, I guess the answer is. You just have to get creative in how you go about things and use the computer and Zoom calls and the telephone and those kinds of things. And it's a little bit different, but I was sitting with a guy last night and he was talking about one of the guys who works for us. His name is Mike Thornsberry, and he was sitting at a basketball game, and Mike is servicing his account. And he's like, you know what? He goes, I could use 100 of those guys, and I refer people to him all the time. So I mean, asking for referrals is another way. So sure, it's definitely, and you're talking to a guy who's a face-to-face guy, right? I mean, I'm. The fact that we haven't been on a trip and you're talking to our agents, and it's definitely something that has hurt me just because of the way I am. But again, you have to make more phone calls. You have to get on more Zoom calls and roll with it, because this is where it is. And hopefully, by in the next few months, you would think, hopefully, we'll be able to get back in front of people.
Well, and before I switch over to Danny here, it's just I think the biggest thing about this challenge of getting on people's clock is it takes more effort. You've got to work harder to do it, and you've got to prove ahead of time that there's more value that you have to be worthy to give that constricted time that they're going to give you. So it may take new ideas, and I've got some ideas I'll bounce off you guys that I think may be helpful to be able to get people to actually give you a little bit of their time, whether in person or just through a Zoom call, something like the video call that we're doing. But Danny, are you finding that, because I hear this, I was talking to one of our partners just yesterday, and she was saying to me, man, if I could just get these people to commit to just talking to me. They say they want to do it, but they keep canceling third time. I hear that all the time. Are you hearing that?
Yeah, I mean, I hear that often. I think I've heard that my entire career. And the thing is that as merchant service industry has evolved, as the technology's evolved, obviously we have to be smarter along with it, right? We've got to learn, we've got to pivot, we've got to adjust as sales professionals. But we also have to make sure and not overthink it, right? Sales is sales. And especially as you're trying to get in the door, and Brian speaks volumes on this because he's the most seasoned professional that we've got. And I think, whenever you look at it from that perspective and keep that mindset, as you're trying to get a foot in the door, you've got to hit on pain points. There are so many things that you can throw at a merchant to stand out, but what are the things that are going to make them react the most, right? The majority of SMBs that you're targeting out there are going to be focused on saving money, maybe getting a new point of sale system, probably getting better support, right? They most likely don't have anybody that's there holding their hand and that they can lean on every step of the way. These are the high level major pain points that every business is probably going to react to and be open to having a deeper conversation. When you get into that conversation, that's when you unload everything that we can do and you really prove that you've got everything that they need, a well-rounded suite of products from payment solutions to web and everything else that you can provide and help their business grow. But you got to hit on those pain points first. Sales is sales, and don't change it as things kind of change in our industry.
Well, and what I know is you've got to be resilient because you got to keep coming back. You've got to actually keep coming back. I just want
follow up is key.
Yeah, and you've just got to you got to never give up. And at the end of the day, one of the things I think is you've got to think through what things of the meeting, like we used to, it was not unusual for vendors to be able to walk into a business of nearly any type and say, could I get 30 minutes of your time? I think now we have to figure out what are the pieces of that meeting that if we got 30 minutes, can we give them beforehand in different ways, whether it's I send them a video or text messages or emails or leave back sell sheets for them to look at, and then make sure that I make the biggest bang with the buck when I do get 10 minutes with them. So they know, oh, I already have all this pre-information. It's them asking questions, you giving answers, and you asking for the close. That's my opinion on how to actually, especially for those who want to get to that in-person meeting, you're probably going to get less time than ever. And you've got to figure out what are the pieces that I can give them before I even show up to make sure that we're ready to get to that question. Are you ready to do business with me? Are you that close question? Why wouldn't you jump in here and add this new point of sale to your business? Brian, what do you think?
I absolutely remember one thing, okay, and this is why this time in our lives is so unique. Everybody is in this together, right? I mean, the entire world is in this. So it's not like it's, oh, well, in Indiana they're doing this, or in Colorado, or, in Florida or New York. Everybody's in this. So everybody knows, what's going on, right? I mean, again, I'm sitting in a basketball game last night and I'm looking around and like, the people that were there, the few people, I mean, everybody's wearing a mask. I mean, who in the world ever thought they would have to wear a mask at a basketball game, right? So like, just remember that, like, when you're talking to people, they know, right? They know. You don't have to tell them that, what's happening. They know what's happening. So they're in it with you. And when you talk about pain points, there's a lot of businesses that are struggling right now. And, so again, and I know Danny's going to laugh when I bring this up, but like, I mean, if you want, you're trying to save businesses money, or the cash discounting program, or I mean, that's, I mean, if you're not talking about that, then you're doing yourself and your merchant an injustice. Whether or not they bite off on it and they're comfortable enough with it, that's a different thing. But I think you'll find, the more you talk about it, because these people are like, okay, wait a minute, I was doing, $50,000 a month in processing, before the pandemic, and now I'm doing 30,000. Well, wait a minute, I'm paying, $1,000 a month in fees. Maybe it does make sense right now for them to jump on board. So, again, remember, everybody knows what's happening. We're all in this together, right? Isn't that the saying? So, I think that's the thing that makes this time in our lives the most unique.
Well, and I mean, Brian does a great job always bringing that spin right back to the things that are the most important of our messages, like cash discount. And the third point of this article I was reading was that people are often less likely to commit and change because of these unprecedented times. Not only the pandemic, but also, we're going through a week from today, we'll have a whole new government. The executive branch will change. We'll see the inauguration not a week from today, but it'll all be done by then. Hopefully, well, who knows what's happening. The world feels like it's, moving all over the place. We're trying to figure out what's right, what's wrong. We're trying to figure out, how do we come back together? And as businesses, they feel like, man, I don't know what my future holds. I don't know whether I'll be here in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And that makes a major difference for them wanting to change, because suddenly they're like, man, I don't feel confident in my tomorrow, much less my 6 months from now. Why would I make a major change? Danny, how are our partners working with this issue that the world is crazy? We're all going through this together, but that also means that as business owners, we're looking down the pipe and going, I'm not as confident as I was 2 years ago.
Yeah. To invest more in my business right now, or do I want to just keep doing what I'm doing and see where I am 6 months from now, because there is so much uncertainty? And that's understandable, right? I mean, depending on the market you're in, if you're down south and in Florida, Texas, and these markets, you're probably not seeing much change right now. I mean, we're hearing that these markets are open and things are fairly normal from what I understand. New York, California, and some other high metro areas around the country, completely different story. A lot of businesses are still shut down or really minimum traffic that can go through there. So they're just kind of skating by and really just sitting back and waiting to see what happens. It's understandable when they have that mindset, like, I just don't want to invest my business right now. And that's where a lot of our partners and what we encourage you to do is get merchants into systems that they can qualify for at no cost, right? Help them get into some of this new technology and some of these programs that can really help in their business with minimal to no cost to the merchants. And they're just going to see, hopefully an immediate impact of that and help them get through this if they're having a tough time through it. So use a lot of these programs to your advantage. We've got the ability to place point of sale systems. We've got the ability to provide free or low cost online setups for merchants. So there's a lot that you can do, and there's no out of pocket cost to a merchant. So that mindset of, I'm just not sure what I want to do, and I'm not sure if I'll be open in 6 months, that's okay. Let us get you set up with this now and spend minimal money out of pocket to do it. And let's see if it works and helps you pick up during this time.
Let me tell you this, okay? And again, you're talking about the biggest old school, 1980s, right? I mean, if you're not changing in any industry, in any business, restaurant, if you're not doing something to change, you're going to get passed by. Somebody's going to pass you. Meaning the other Mexican restaurant down the road, the other Italian restaurant, whatever it is, sales, anything. Okay, if you're not changing, you're going to get passed, and you're only going to have yourself to blame.
Totally agree. And
completely agree.
And I what I love is there's hopefully I was pleased. I was reading the I'm the geek that reads the couple hundred pages of recommendations for the new stimulus bill that President-elect Biden put out the other day. And in it specifically has things focused on restaurants, which is a big thing we serve. And I was glad to see that one of the things it was recommending was using I forget the amount of money, to pay restaurants and restaurant workers to make food for those who are in need. I was like, that's finally an idea that makes sense. Let's put people back to work and then feed the people who need food. And I was like, why did it take us a year to come up with this idea? And it was an original idea. I've been hearing, David Chang, the founder of Momofuku, talk about this for months, and others I'm sure are too. And I was, it's that change. And hey, you know what? I may not be able to serve a 5-star restaurant and have people come in and sit down with me, or I may not be able to have, I'm only at 25% capacity, but I can use parts of this kitchen to do something else and to serve those who are in need. And I love it. I think you have to change. Another one I saw, I don't know if you guys see this recently. So Mr. Beast, who's a famous YouTuber, we're on YouTube. We get, a couple hundred views. He gets, 90 million views when he puts a video out. He started a burger chain. How did he start? And he turned around having a delivery burger chain in 400 locations in 1 week. How did he do that? He partnered together with, I forget the parent company, but they run Buca de Beppo and a couple others, and they used that portions of that kitchen that Buca de Beppo wasn't using because they couldn't be at full service to be able to do burger delivery in local urban places. They had one here in downtown Indianapolis. It's that change and that it's helping people to do that. Now, coming back to this last thing I was thinking of, Brian, do you think it's important to be able to, how do you make sure person says, I absolutely don't know where I'm going to be. I may close this business. I may go bankrupt. I don't know. I'm not making a change. How do you make sure that 6 months from now, 3 months from now, when they're in a different spot, hopefully in a better spot, that you're the one they come to make that change and play the long game? Maybe it's a year.
You organize yourself, right? And get yourself to where you remember that guy, 3 months, 6 months down the road. I mean, you can't keep calling him every single day or every single week for that matter, but you get yourself organized and you come up with a plan. And he said, call back in 6 months. Okay, you call him back in 4, right? Because he doesn't remember what 4 to 6. So you get yourself organized, and now you can, once you do that, then all of a sudden you've got your pipeline, right? And as long as your pipeline is full, you'll sell stuff, period.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, Nate, have you ever watched Ugly Delicious with David Chang?
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? I love that show.
Yeah.
And he has the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's a 4-episode on Netflix that I like a lot too. So Danny, I don't know that he's quite as involved. I do want to point out, I don't know.
ESPN. That's what I watch.
I forget. Brian, did you watch Ted Lasso? I got my new sweatshirt on. Did you ever watch Ted Lasso? Neither of you guys.
That I did not.
Okay, so one, I'm going to do a little tease here. I'm wearing my Believe sweatshirt. If you'd watch Ted Lasso is absolutely the best show that's come out on TV in the last 3 years. I have talked to so many people who actually do sit down and watch it, and they're like, oh my word, I can't believe how this is good. It's whether people like sports. It's Jason Sudeikis. But the other thing I'm going to be doing is we're on our My Paper Tech Instagram and My Paper Tech Facebook page starting next week, and I have 10 already mapped out. It'll be about 2 or 3 a week. We're going to be talking about the leadership and sales perspectives of Ted Lasso, and it's the best movie. If you haven't seen it, I can't tell you how good it is. It is the best movie.
Is Scott Van Pelt in that?
He has a little, yeah, because on the opening scene, he comes out and it's Scott Van Pelt showing that Jason Sudeikis' character, Ted Lasso, is going from Wichita State to being a Premier League coach in the UK. And it's this crazy story that I didn't think would work. It took me several times for people suggesting it for me to watch it. When I finally sat down and watched it, I was like, this may be the perfect comedy show. It's 10 episodes of around 30 to 35 minutes apiece, and it's on Apple TV Plus. You can get a free trial and binge it, or you can. A lot of us who have iOS devices have a free subscription to Apple TV Plus, or it's only $5 a month, and it's worth that because you'll be done with the show. I promise. Once you get past that first episode, you can't stop. I'm just telling you. So, all right, gentlemen, as we.
Now, if you want to ask me anything sports related, the most elite corner in the NFL and things like that, I'll definitely be able to talk in detail about that.
Yeah, check this out.
Hold on, what do we got here? Oh, there's Scott. Yep,
Van Pelt.
Scotty Van Pelt right there.
The U.S. Open.
SVP living the dream.
Scott, how about a picture? Hey, Scott, how about a picture?
Oh man, how tall is he? He's like 6'6".
Tall. He's like 6'6", I think.
I was gonna say, it's good that he was on a golf cart there for you, Brian. So.
Trust me. Okay, he wasn't on the golf court. He wasn't on the golf cart until I told him to get on the golf cart.
Oh man, I saw a picture of and this is totally off the topic, and then we're going into final things. But here in Indianapolis, Anthony Costanzo retired, and he's like 6'8", 330. And or something like that.
Saw that.
And they were showing highlight pictures of him, and there was this picture of him in doing a USO tour with other Colts players, but he just towered. It was like Pat McAfee. It was back when Chuck Pagano was the coach, Adam Vinatieri, and he just looked like a complete Goliath in the middle of all that. And everyone else was like 5'11", and he just looks. It's amazing when you get those pictures. It's like Kevin Hart with Shaq or Yao Ming or something like that. It's always
I can never understand those guys on ESPN that do these shows like the football show, and then like you get the guy like why don't you just sit? If it's me, okay, we're not standing up. We're sitting down. We're sitting on a stool, a bar stool, something. There used to be a guy that used to do the news in New York City. His name was Warner Wolf, and he was like 5'2", and he used to sit on 2 yellow pages in his chair to make him look taller. Just a little bit of trivia.
There we go. All right, gentlemen, as we close up the day and finish things up here, I ask you, what do you say? I'll start with you, Danny Shard, to the PayProTech Nation as we look to, we're halfway through. It's the 15th. We're halfway through the whole month. We're getting in 2021. It's time to jumpstart. It's time to get going. What do you say?
Yeah, it seems to be flying by already. I mean, we've had a great couple of weeks here to start the year at PayProTech. A lot of our partners are engaged. Nate sent out a really good email this morning on our new concept and something that we really want to push about simplifying sales. Make it easy on yourself. Take the easier routes. Don't overthink it, and help your merchants understand better so you can close more. And we really hope it helps. So just time to get out there, because before we know it, January is going to be over. 2021 is in full motion. So let's get after it.
Ryan Linke, what say you?
Again, I've been a sales guy my entire life. It's a great thing, right? To go out and sell something, feel good about yourself, and make a little bit of money, and then make a little bit more money, and then go on a trip and make a little bit more money, and so sales is but it's a tough gig. Okay, nobody ever said it was easy. So stay focused, stay positive. We've got here at PayProTech, we have a 3-day weekend coming up. Enjoy it. Think about the things that are important. Spend some time with your family, and let's get back to it on Tuesday.
Oh, I think so. I think that's a great one. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As we always say, you can join us every Friday, 10 a.m., or give or take, on our YouTube, on our Facebook. You can always watch it afterwards. That's when most of you watch it. But we would love it if you join live and even chat. So it's Vicky Helm. Thank you so much for jumping in and saying chat over in the YouTube. If you're over on Facebook, I didn't look this morning. I'm sure there were some chats, and I'll come in and respond later. Thank you guys so much. And on that, we say to everyone, high five. We'll see you next week.